What is going on, guys? My name is Bradley with DoublySports, bringing you a brand new video for DFS and Draftkings NFL Week 6 of the 2020 NFL season. Now, we have absolutely been on fire recently, and I love everything about it. So, guys, congratulations to those that have been following us and winning alongside of us. If you're returning, go ahead and give a thumbs up to the video. I would really appreciate it. It really helps the channel go a long way. And then drop a comment below with who your lock of the week is. I gave you 2 locks of the week last week, and we'll get into that into a second. But really, guys, we've been tearing it up, so congratulations, and let's keep it rolling with our week in review. And the reason I'm so proud about this one, and I know that I kind of hint on it every single week, but guys, we literally gave you this lineup on Patreon. For those of you that go above and beyond in support of the channel, I want to try and give back. So we give you our player pool, and this was one of the lineups that we created. We gave you 3 potential lineups, and I said that this is the one that I was putting in all of my 50-50s and double-ups. You basically got to take the test with the answers right in front of you. Look at it. It looks so good. Did we hit Chase Claypool? No, but we didn't need to take a gamble on some of these lower tier guys like Chase Claypool or Fulgham. We didn't have to because we had a wonderful lineup. We talked about our Carolina Panthers stack. It's in there. We talked about the Giants wide receivers. I said Travis Kelce was my favorite tight end play of the week. A lot of people were doubting him because he was going up against, quote unquote, the number 3 defense against tight ends. And we dove into that a little bit by saying they really haven't played any tight ends from Carolina, New England, and I forget who the second one was, but it was the 3 lowest usage tight end teams in the NFL. But always, we have the bad. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, only 11 points, so he was a snowflake for us. T. Higgins still hit 2 times his point value, and Golden Tate also hit 2 times, but they didn't have great games. We want to see everyone hit double digits, and Golden Tate, unfortunately, did not. Patreon gets it first. For those that go above and beyond in support of the channel, they get it first. Patreon.com/DoublySports. Or Sunday morning, we put out our player pool for free over on Facebook, Facebook.com/DoublySports, and you'll see that at the end of the video. So we got to get into those sleepers. These are the low price guys under $5,500 that we expect to have a big weekend. These guys, in my opinion, are essential. That way you can go get those upper echelon players. There's a lot of really expensive wide receivers that I want to target this week. Starting things off with Daniel Jones. I'm not big on paying super far down for a quarterback, but if you need an option, I think Daniel Jones is going to have his best game of the year. I really think on a play-by-play basis, he's performing better than people actually see. Things are coming together with Devonta Freeman getting healthy. He has a little bit of a burst. His wide receivers are getting healthy. Evan Ingram is getting a lot of targets. I expect him to match his season total in passing touchdowns in this one game. Myles Gaskin at $5,400 against the horrible New York Jets. The New York Jets are somehow getting worse and worse by the week. I don't see how he is still under $5,500 as a starting running back. I get it. They have a stable of backs. They have Breida back there, a couple other names. But Myles Gaskin has been the guy. 14-plus Draftkings points in 3 of 5 games this year. He's only hit the end zone once, and that was in week 1, unfortunately. But now with a terrible Jets defense on the slate, I think he's going to see the most touches he's seen all year. Devonta Freeman at $4,900. You're going to see a couple of Giants on this slide, and it kind of scares me a little bit because I know the Giants aren't that good, but neither is Washington. Washington is 23rd in rush yards allowed. He's seen more and more carries, more and more touches each and every week. I think the Giants win this one, and Devonta Freeman should have a decent game. Chase Claypool at $5,200. I think this is going to be the most popular name you hear for in terms of a value play. A lot of people are going to be chasing him. And for good reason. We've picked on Cleveland all year. We've talked about the injuries that they've had back there with Denzel Ward and a couple other guys. They're 28th in points per game allowed, 30th in pass yards, and they still are injured back there. Chase Claypool, if you're confident that he has that number 2 wide receiver position for Pittsburgh, I think he's in a great spot again to probably score another touchdown. Keelan Cole, $4,900, taking advantage of more injuries on the offensive side of the ball. Detroit is 30th in pass yards allowed. 23rd in points giving up to opposing wide receivers. Well, if Laviska Shenault and DJ Shark Jr. are both still dinged up and not starting, or if one of them is not starting, Keelan Cole in a game that I expect a few more points than most. I think Keelan Cole is going to be in a good spot to get a lot of targets. And if you know me, I love my targets. Targets present opportunity. Opportunity equals points. When you capitalize on the opportunity. I should say that. Jonnu Smith at $5,200. It seems like this is Tannehill's favorite target, right? Houston, a terrible defense. They haven't gotten it there right. 22nd in DraftKings points given up to tight ends. Jonnu Smith, one of the better receiving tight ends in the league. I think he's going to have a very good game. And another one, Evan Ingram, 4,900. Yeah, I have 3 Giants on this slide. For every 5 receptions that Washington has given up to a tight end, they have scored a touchdown. Evan Ingram is getting about 7, a little bit less than 7, so we'll say 6 targets a game and 5 catches. That means he's on pace to score a touchdown in this one. At $4,900, I'm looking for 12 to 15 points out of my tight end, and I think Ingram is in a fantastic spot to hit that. More to watch this week. Frank Gore, minimum value for a running back at $4,000 against Miami with Le'Veon Bell gone. DeAndre Swift at $4,500 against Jacksonville. If Jacksonville does get ahead early and capitalizes on that bad Detroit defense, DeAndre Swift, the pass-catching back, or the pass-catching option, I should say, for Detroit, should have a decent game. Brandon Cooks finally had his coming out party. $5,000 against Tennessee. Jarvis Landry at only $4,900 against Pittsburgh. Granted, Baker Mayfield may be injured, and Jarvis Landry also coming off an injury. If both of these guys are healthy, they've kind of got a shootout on their hands. You know, the Cleveland defense isn't good. They're not going to be able to slow down the Steelers. There's no reason Baker Mayfield shouldn't have to put up a lot of passes, meaning Jarvis Landry should see his targets boost. And finally, Travis Fulgham against Baltimore at $4,400. We're not really sure what's going on with the Eagles wide receiver position, but if he's healthy, why not start him at $4,400 going up against Baltimore, who has been susceptible to the pass? It could be worth a shot. I don't know if I'll be putting him in my lineup. It's one of those high ceiling, low floor situations, in my opinion. Oh, buddy. The studs. And we absolutely crushed it last week with our studs. But let's get into it. At Derrick Henry at $7,300 against the Houston Texans. They've struggled against the run all year, and Titans will never not rely on Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is that dude. By the way, did you see that stiff arm he put on Josh Norman? That man has kids, Derrick. You can't be doing that to a grown man on the football field. Derrick Henry making men cry since 1987. $7,300 against Houston Texans. I will take Derrick Henry. By the way, I don't know if that's when Derrick Henry was born. He just seems like that was a good number, okay? Mike Davis at $7,000 against Chicago. Getting a bit too expensive for my taste, but with CMC coming back or on the horizon of coming back, why not milk Mike Davis for everything that you can get out of him, right? We've talked about it. Carolina uses the running back more than any other team. Mike Davis has more broken tackles by a running back than any other player in the league. And he's only he's only been in 3 or 4 games. Mike Davis against Chicago, it's going to be a great matchup against 2 teams that are really overperforming than what most of us expected coming into the season. But at $7,000, I think you're going to get the usage to match the price. Calvin Ridley at $7,800, probably my favorite wide receiver play for 2 reasons. He has double-digit targets in 4 out of the 5 weeks so far for the Falcons. Vikings are 28th in passing yards allowed per game. And they are tied with Dallas for the most passing touchdowns given up to wide receivers on the season with 9 touchdowns allowed. Matt Ryan and this offense have to put up points. They do it every single week. That defense is just absolutely terrible. If Calvin Ridley's the number 1, I love this play. If Julio Jones is back, I don't think he's 100% healthy, meaning Calvin Ridley will be able to take advantage of a little bit of attention over to Julio Jones, and Calvin Ridley will now get matched up against number 2 defensive back. Juju Smith-Schuster at $6,600 against Cleveland. We've picked on them all year. We said it when we talked about Chase Claypool. Juju Smith-Schuster's price actually the lowest of the season, I believe. I'm not looking at the actual pricing right now, but I think $6,600 is his cheapest. And we've picked on them once again all year. DFS players will be focusing on Chase Claypool. Meanwhile, Bradley over here from DoublySports will be focused on Juju Smith-Schuster. If you agree with me, drop a like or tell me I'm wrong. I really don't care because I love talking sports. I want to know your opinion. I can't see every game. I can't see every stat, but I try to look at as much as possible to make these decisions. Speaking of not seeing every game, Chris Godwin. He has not seen every game. At $6,400, coming off, I believe, a 2-game absence, technically, at $6,400 against the Packers. Hear me out. I think this stat is what is going to scare a decent amount of people away. Green Bay has allowed the fewest pass attempts to wide receivers this season. But Tampa Bay, they're not afraid to throw it around. Chris Godwin, $6,400, could be wide receiver 1 option for Tom Brady this week, with Mike Evans still dealing with a lingering injury. So I think Chris Godwin is undervalued at $6,400. Not necessarily the best point score, but extreme value at $6,400. Another good value play for me is Kenny Golladay at $6,200. I know it's on the studs, but I think this is a great value play. Jacksonville, 29th in passing yards allowed per game, and a league worst 75% completions percentage. Now you have Matt Stafford going up against Kenny Golladay, who has pretty good hands. At $6,200, I will take that matchup each and every week. And our more to watch, Todd Gurley looks like he has it back. $6,300 going up against Minnesota. If Julio Jones is back again, that kind of lifts the defense, allowing more room for Todd Gurley to operate. Odell Beckham Jr., if Baker Mayfield is healthy, at $6,400, really underpriced in a game that they're probably going to be playing from behind. Maybe that's just me. I think the Steelers come and roll the Browns, and they'll be playing from behind, which means more passes, more opportunities for Odell Beckham Jr. Adam Thielen against that horrible Falcons defense at $7,300. Ryan Fitzpatrick, $5,900. Did you see some of the numbers that he's been putting up this year? $5,900. Same thing for Ryan Tannehill, too cheap this week. And Kirk Cousins, $6,100, only because they are going against the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know if I trust Alexander Mattison. They priced him way up with Dalvin Cook possibly being out. But Kirk Cousins, if you want to trust him at $6,100, probably your best bet down there. And now something that really paid off last week. We mentioned 3 stacks and all 3 of them popped off. The New York Giants against Washington football team. Daniel Jones, Evan Ingram, and Devonta Freeman if I only want to focus on 3 players. Outside of that, Darius Slayton, the number 1 wide receiver for the Giants. Tennessee Titans going up against Houston. Ryan Tannehill, we just alluded to it, has numbers that basically match Patrick Mahomes over the last 12 weeks. It's freakish. If you haven't seen the image going around on Twitter, it's something like they both have 3,100 yards. They both have 32 touchdowns. They both have 6 interceptions over the last 16 games, 12 weeks or something like that. It's just ridiculous. His favorite target, Jonnu Smith, and Derrick Henry out of the backfield, just an absolute monster. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, I would go Big Ben, Claypool, and Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm not really interested in the running back situation for this game with the Steelers. I know I'm usually pretty high on James Conner. Not this week. I really want to attack the defensive back situation of the Cleveland Browns. And your defenses, I'd love to give you them at different price points. The Patriots against Denver. The Dolphins, who have been surprisingly good, going up against that terrible New York Jets team, no matter who they start, whether it's Flacco or Darnold. And the New York Giants against Kyle Allen and or Alex Smith of the Washington football team. Alex Smith with a great story, but unfortunately only 1.6 Draftkings points last week when he played. I look to take advantage of that with a Giants pass rush that can get after the quarterback and hopefully create some turnovers. All right, guys, that does it for this video. Again, our sleepers, studs, and stacks for Week 6 of the 2020 NFL season in Draftkings. If you enjoyed any part of this video, please give a like to this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below with anything and everything that you want to know. I love talking to people. You'll see me. I'm constantly engaging in conversation, no matter if you're a bot, woman, feeling lonely. If you saw last week, you know what I'm talking about. Or if you actually have some genuine questions, I would love to talk about it, whether it's here, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, Twitter with the team, DoublySports. We're always here answering your questions. Facebook.com/DoublySports. We are always talking about our best bets, more value plays, as well as that Sunday morning free post. Patreon gets it first. Again, patreon.com/DoublySports. Thank you so much for your support, going above and beyond just subscribing to the channel. I want to make sure we give back to you as much as possible, and you will get our player pool, Bradley's best bets, the late bloomers report, and NFL weather update Saturday evening into Sunday morning. Thank you so much for watching this video, and hopefully the next time that I see you is in the green.